Hello and welcome to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for November 4th, Tuesday. We got a nice 6-gamer on our hands and we're going to jump into it now. Before we do, come try us at LineStar. We do have a free trial, free 7-day trial. You can go to the app stores, Google, Apple App Store, either one, download us there, get a 7-day trial, or you can go to the website linestarapp.com. Now, let's jump in and check out what we got here. We're going to go position by position, starting on FanDuel, going through some high owned and a couple pivots. We got Josh Giddey at 9,100, and he is some chalk today. He is the highest owned point guard and shooting guard for that matter, but he's in a very high pace, 239.5 game total, only a 1.5 spread. And Giddey is just forced to do everything on this team. He has been a major rebounder and getting assists. So those counting stats are just absolutely stacking up for him. And I don't mind him in this up pace matchup. Now, Giddey, it's a tough spot versus point guards. The 76ers ranked 4th overall, but Giddey has so much upside, you can definitely count on him. 9,100 and the ability to get 60 or 70 for that matter is kind of hard to pass up. I don't mind some, but I'm also not going to go overboard. Next, we got Jeremiah Fears, 4.9K. He is still in their starting lineup. In a blowout, played 26 minutes. In a close game, played 29 minutes. In a blowout, played 30 minutes. So his minutes are very hard to account for in this spot. We have him at 28.5. I think that's probably about where he is, but he's been 0.95 fantasy point per minute as a starter, and in a good matchup for Charlotte, there's definitely upside. I'm going to have a decent amount, 236.5 game total and 2.5 point favorites for the Pelicans. Trey Jones at 5,500 is a little interesting. As far as his fantasy production, it's been very solid, 1.05 fantasy points per minute with Chicago in an up-paced matchup. You could do worse than having some Trey Jones here. Now, let's get into some pivot action. We got Dyson Daniels. So dating back to last year, Dyson Daniels without Trey Young is 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Now, they have some added help. So it's not necessarily just Dyson Daniels like it was last year. They have They have Porzingis to take some usage away. So while I think he's a good play, I don't expect that 1.2. I expect him to be probably more about 1.05 or so. That's where he's been over the last 20. And it is a very good matchup. 28th overall for Orlando versus the shooting guard. The only issue here is they're not giving up a lot of steals or blocks, which is where Daniels derives a lot of his fantasy output. Now at 7,200, I think a lot of the upside is out of his price range here, but he can absolutely get to mid 40s, high 50s, and going a little lower owned, he's a little interesting. Tyrese Maxey at 9,900. Dude has just scored fantasy points all year long, and I don't mind just staying the Flames if he's a little lower owned, even at these elevated prices. I mean, he's just getting there game in and game out, and he's in a nice spot versus the Bulls. There's no reason to jump off that bandwagon yet. Jordan Poole at 5,600. He is now coming off the bench. We got a 3-star alert score. The thing is that I find interesting is like versus the Clippers, close game, coming off the bench, he's still got 33 minutes. So while I think most likely he's probably around 24, 26 minutes in a close game, if he gets hot, we do have that ability for that ceiling potential. So I think he's interesting going low owned, but he's not a guy I'm going to have a major part of. But as far as a low-owned pivot, I think he's very interesting. Steph Curry, man, he's as boom-bust as it comes with any NBA guy, just because he is so reliant on getting hot and hitting some threes. We really need him to hit 6 or 7 threes, get a steal or a block, to boost that fantasy score. But there's a huge ceiling. And at 8,200, he is fairly likely to be in the 40s. There's just a lot of people that need to get fed on this Warriors team. So it spreads out those fantasy points a little bit, unfortunately. But it is a great spot versus the Suns, who have been positive for fantasy points to the point guard, especially at the point guard or the team defense tool point guard position. And Steph Curry is Steph Curry. Another pivot we got here is that'll do it. Get on over to the Draftkings here and see what we got for high ownership. Just trying to cover all our bases, make sure we talk about as many guys as we possibly can. We covered them all. We do have Na popping up actually at 5,800. So the thing that I do think is interesting about Na with this Atlanta team, he is just over 1 fantasy point per minute guy, and he was similar to that a few years ago. So it is possibly that Minnesota system did not work quite as well for who he is as a player. 5.8K, I do think it's a little interesting. He could play 32, 34 minutes. And if he's at over 1.5 fantasy points per minute in a positive spot versus point guard, it becomes fairly interesting. So I don't hate that one. Let's get on over to shooting guard. We got Giddy, Trey Jones, Daniels, we all talked about. Gary Trent Jr. at 4,600. He hasn't shown much upside this season. However, he does have 1, 2, 3 scores of about 6x. He is also a guy that can get hot and go above that. So I'm interested. I think this price point is somewhat safe, and there's an interesting ceiling here versus the Toronto Raptors with the 237.5 total. Next pivot we got, we've talked about them all. So we'll get on over to shooting guard on DK. 6,800. RJ Barrett, I don't hate it. I don't love it. Toronto Raptors have a lot of guys they need to eat, but we do have a 5-star alert score, and it's been a great spot versus shooting guard. So if Barrett can get hot, his price is decent. I don't mind it, but I also don't totally love the spot. The team defense tool looks at it more of an average spot than a spectacular one. Trey Murphy at 6,900. Again, he's just, so down. He's just too far down on the pecking order here to really be a force that you need to have. One of these, 53-point performances are not likely with how the team is currently playing, but it is a great spot. If you want a little bit, I won't bag on you for it. That's for sure. On to small forward, Jonathan Kuminga at 6,100 is in just an absolutely incredible spot. He's chalk. I think he's good chalk. Jalen Johnson at 8,600, also good chalk. Gary Trent, we covered. Now, pivot-wise, Ryan Dunn at 4,600 is going overlooked. We have a 3-star alert score, 32.5 game total. It is an away game, so it's going to be harder for the Suns to keep into this game. But the man is 4,600 and has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at, 5 plus X, 6X, and, has shown games with that 7, 8X kind of likelihood that we want to see. I think at this ownership and at this price, he makes a very, very good bet to go hard on. So I'm going to have some Ryan Dunn in this spot versus the Warriors. And I don't mind, bringing it back with some other guys. Grayson Allen's there. There's, Kuminga. There's definitely guys that you can use in that game. If that game stays close, it will bode pretty well for fantasy. At 7,900, Miles Bridges. This Pelicans versus Charlotte game is a toilet bowl, but it's definitely one of my favorites for DFS. And the upside that Bridges brings in the 7K is just giant. He can go for 50. So absolutely interested about him. Now, he's not in the easiest matchup with Zion on their other side, but it might mean he plays some solid minutes here in this game. So interested going that way. And then Herb Jones, 4,400 is just too cheap when you have a guy that can get so many steals and blocks. I mean, 4 steals and blocks in game 1 with 36 minutes, 42 he put up. We routinely see him in those mid-20s. And with that kind of upside, I'm intrigued in a game that could have a ton of turnovers and a 236 total. Getting on over to small forward on DK. Patrick Williams at 3,600. He is playing mid-20s in minutes. You could do worse, but the issue here is unless he gets like 32-ish minutes, there's not a huge ceiling. So he saves you, but can he win you a tournament? I don't really know. It's a spot that I don't mind getting off some chalk. Getting on over to power forward, we got Miles Bridges, Giannis, Franz Wagner, and Herb Jones. Franz at 7,400 could absolutely eat versus this Hawks team that can't really stop anybody on defense. He's routinely in the 40s. It's just, can he get into the upper 40s in this matchup? It is a good matchup, so I think he probably could. Our high own Kuminga, Johnson, Draymond at 5,500 absolutely has some intrigue as well. The issue is I like Draymond way more when he is starting at center than at power forward. So we're going to have to wait and see. The Warriors have said they're going to change Post at center time sometimes, or Green at center and Podziemski, starting. So we'll see what they're doing here versus the Suns. I'm in on Green for sure if he's a starting center. Zion at 8,700. We get 60-point upside at 8,700. Anytime you have that kind of upside at that price, you have to take notice. And while it's a tough matchup because Bridges is on the other side, I don't mind getting to some Zion still. On to the center spot, we got, power forward on DK. Giannis, he is my favorite pay up for sure. If you're going to pay up, he is the guy. Bridges, Bonchero at 9,300, I think is extremely interesting. 4 straight games, right around 50. He's 9,300. He's in a great spot. If you don't want to pay up to Giannis, he makes a ton of sense. And on the center spot, we got Vooch at 7,800. On FanDuel, I think Vooch is an absolute slam. I'm going to have a bunch of them. Draymond, Okongwu's too pricey for me to get there, but if you want to pay down, I think Missy has some interest. He's right around 1 fantasy point per minute. He's in a great spot. And if he can get up to like one of these 28-minute games, then he becomes super interesting and could blow out that $4,300 salary. And then Kalkbrenner at 5,300. The guy's been flirting with 30s all season long. We know there's a chance for a ceiling here. The guy can put up steals and blocks. He can get up rebounds. He can get some points. He just hasn't done all of it in one game yet. It's going to happen at some point. It's just when. This is an excellent spot for it to happen. So I'm interested at Kalkbrenner. I think he's going probably a little bit too low owned. Now on to center on DK. We got Jalen Smith, Diabiti, and Vooch. Vooch is my favorite by far. Not too much on Diabiti, but hey, if Kalkbrenner gets into foul trouble, Diabiti could have a huge game. It is a great spot, so I don't mind some Diabiti as well as Kalkbrenner. Just obviously only play one. Don't play both. That's going to do it for us today, guys. We will be back with more shortly. You all have a good one. Talk to you later. Peace.